Hi, Paul.
Hi.
Congratulations on the movie.
Thanks.
So, I guess my first question is, how autobiographical is this movie?
It's not, but it definitely was inspired by something I went through. You know, I went through having 20 years of debilitating back pain and getting a book which taught me about a new philosophy and way of thinking, and then all my back pain was gone. And that transformation wasn't just about back pain, but it was about how I needed to think about anger and life and just a lot of things. So that transformation is what I put our main character through, but outside of that, there's nothing.
Sure, and emotional connectivity with physical problems seems to be a big theme for the movie. So is that kind of the journey that you went on to?
That was it. A while ago, I felt that, if it wasn't a pharmaceutical that was approved, I wasn't interested. And the idea that there was any mind-body connection at all, I felt was ridiculous and, felt scornful towards those who believed it. But they're physically connected. I mean, they're. I don't know why it's so just hippy-dippy to think that there's a connection there when that's obviously how we control our hands is with our brains. I mean, it's there, and the fact that the brain can cause pain as well, or can be part of your physical health is now obvious.
So what was kind of the turning point, both in you realizing that that wasn't all just voodoo shit, that it was real, and I guess, inspiring the idea to make this movie?
Well, there was a book. I got a book. I read the book. And it was Healing Back Pain by John Sarno. And, I think a lot of people are talking about this book now, and it's something Howard Stern talks about all the time.
Is that the same one that's in the movie?
Yeah. And he's an orthopedic surgeon. He's an orthopedic surgeon who just noticed people weren't getting cured from the surgery. They still had the back pain, and he just thought there was something else there. And a lot of it's tied to suppressed anger. And I was just someone who not only subconsciously suppressed anger, but willfully suppressed anger. And I just felt like it had no place in the world. So kind of realizing I was wrong about that and what that meant about how I had to live the rest of my life was also an inspiration for the movie.
What was it like writing for yourself and directing yourself? I know you've written for yourself in the past, and I think you've said that it's a challenge.
It is a challenge, and I didn't write for myself. I didn't know I was going to play the part when I wrote the movie. I thought I would just cast it.
Really?
Yeah. And then but I also didn't know about indie filmmaking. I mean, I knew nothing. I was like, I think I want to make a movie. And I wrote it and assumed I would have to go through that regular traditional route of going to studios and everything. And then I was talking to Mark Duplass, and he told me about the indie world, and he kind of broke it down for me. And it's like, for $200,000 you can make this kind of movie, and you have this many people on set. For $600,000 you get this, and if you jump to $2 million, you probably need some stars. You still have some, and I realized, hey, I could just make
both the voice of the movie and the character, I feel like, are very specific to you, though, and it's you fit well into your character's shoes. So did it transform a bit once you knew you would be playing the role?
Yeah, I guess it did a bit. Probably not a ton. Every next script I'll write someone a little different from me.
So What about maybe being a showrunner, do you think prepared you to tackle this movie?
I think showrunning and directing a movie are similar jobs. You don't get into the minutia of which shot, of composing a shot as a showrunner. But you do control the look of the overall look of it, as well as the scripts and everything. And you're just kind of the general of the show, and so that skill set went over to the movie where you just have to be that general. But there was a lot that was different, and I loved that. There was no other layers of TV. There's just so many network executives and big actors and lots of people with ideas, and then in indie film it's just okay, go do it.
And so what kind of inspired the jump to indie film, or delving into this realm?
I felt like this particular idea, which I really was going through and wanted to write about a lot, was like a single transition. It wasn't like a character in permanent conflict that felt more like a series kind of thing. So the fact that it was contained, I felt like suited for a single story. And I really wanted to make a movie, direct one. I started directing a bunch of The Offices and directed a number of different TV shows, and just got really interested in doing some interesting visual stuff. But then in TV with the 21:35 is the amount of time you're given for a half hour. I did a newsroom, which I had a little more leeway, but still, it wasn't. You end up shooting a bunch of cool stuff, and then you don't have time to squeeze it in. The pace of the movie is just different. You can allow, a different kind of feeling.
So what were maybe some specific examples of how this format was fun to play with? Maybe gave you more freedom than stuff you've done in the past?
I did like a really long, like 4 or 5 page scene as a oneer on the Steadicam. I thought that was super fun to do. I don't have a lot of coverage, which is very different. In TV, you tend to get everything. So I'm glad it's over here. Then set the camera over there to catch that glance. I am kind of in love with some of those filmmakers who just kind of invisibly move the camera around. You don't notice anything, but there's just so much mood and focus and style there. And I wanted to play in that world.
Who are some of your references in terms of filmmakers?
Let's see. Well, for this one, I looked at the Coen brothers a bunch, but we had no money, and it's very hard to do Coen brothers in 20 days with no money. But I liked the way they really did. They covered a conversation really close and inside, and I used that, which is something you never do on TV. And then Hal Ashby, Woody Allen, and no great surprises.
So is this something you maybe want to continue doing?
Absolutely, yeah.
Absolutely,
Yeah,
there's going to be a follow-up film.
There will be.
Several.
Yeah.
Awesome. And do you think you're going to continue doing comedy, or?
Yeah, I can't imagine that's not going to be part of anything I do. I will never do a horror movie. It's not in me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think they'll all be comedy.
And would you ever branch out into kind of a hybrid, like comedy, drama, or some other
This
elements?
was a little bit, I think. Yeah, I mean, I could see doing a drama, although I don't necessarily know where all the joy is there. I would have to get better.
Sure.
Filmmaker.
I mean, even the drama in this movie, I felt like was very sardonically funny.
Thanks.
It was kind of a masochistic movie. In
Yeah,
fact.
it was.
You were really hard on yourself. I'm kind of wondering about the character's arc and what that meant for you, maybe either personally or artistically. Just all he has to go through in the movie.
I was trying to make life as hard as he could to bring him to a boiling point where he had to snap, for maybe the first time in his life.
And was that kind of cathartic for you to make this movie in terms of reconciling your own experience?
Yeah, definitely feels like something I had to get out.
Fair enough. What do you think is the direction that you want to take next in your career? Do you want to act again?
I want to make another movie where I step back as an actor and just write and direct it now. I'd like to make a little bit of a bigger movie with a little more resources. There's so much I wanted to do, I couldn't quite do. Sometimes I'd block a scene, and be told, "Oh, we don't have enough lights for that. We can't shoot that way. We can't light the room," And I mean, some of the struggles definitely, end up making it better for sure and make us more creative. And then some of them don't, and at one point I had a different ending, which I still miss a little bit, but we couldn't afford, But and I'm really happy with the ending. But
I kind of like the open-endedness about it, though. You can kind of imagine,
I thought it really worked for the mood we did create. It was probably better not to get there in a way.
Yeah. I think it was fun how you kind of bookended these scenes of personal anguish with the song and the acupuncture specialists. That was always kind of like a respite between the films, different acts. So it felt like the right note to close on.
Thanks.
What was the inspiration for that song? How did you come up with his back playing music?
Oh, that particular music, or just the idea of music?
Just
I was looking for kind of a physical representation of the pain. I don't know. I thought of that, quite honestly.
Well, it's definitely an interesting audio-visual, aspect of the film, a very unique part of it. So I was kind of curious how you, I guess, what that represented for the character in your mind. But it was kind of a manifestation of his pain.
It's a manifestation of his pain in a way. It was him, his back talking to him, in a way that wasn't when the pain went away because of, say, a kind of like really psychological kind of what do you call it, a placebo effect for a while.
Mm-hmm.
I needed another manifestation, and I liked the idea that the pain was actually making a beautiful sound, and that the anger, was in a way that this kind of beautiful thing that he could never see before. Does that make any sense?
Yeah, no, maybe I'm reading into it too much, but there's definitely a parallel, I feel, between you making this movie about your experience and his, pain manifesting itself in this beautiful music in the movie. It's kind of a nice...
Thanks.
I guess it ties into the whole theme of expression and how that can kind of be a way to confront whatever's ailing you.
Yeah, it all needs to be expressed somehow, and I guess in a way that's all kind of beautiful, even if half of it feels ugly.
So
was just human.
Was Paul Feig a producer on this movie, or he just had the cameo?
No, he came in, he did the cameo. It took me a long time to think about that part because it sets the tone for the movie. I needed someone with a lot of authority, but someone light and who had comedy in him. Certainly Paul has so much comedy and authority. I'd known him for a long time. He was all those things to me. So was a great way to start the film. I'm lucky he did
Yeah, he was hilarious.
it. Yeah.
So do you think you're going to tap into your well-established comedic network a lot for future projects, or are you more interested in kind of working with new talent and, you know, expanding?
Really both. For this one, I wanted to step away, you know, but I would love to work with Steve Carell again. That was one of the highlights of my life. Probably the most talented actor I've ever worked with.
I think it was a highlight of a lot of other people's lives too.
Yeah. There's stuff he can do that no one else can do, in just a single moment to ask him to be like confused and sad and outraged and hurt all at the same time, and come in and feel those, those both things, and he could do all of it. It's amazing. There's such depth to it.
Well, it seems like that's something you kind of challenge with this movie too. You go through kind of the full range of emotions.
I try. I'm not. Yeah.
So what's your take on Western medicine, having had this experience, made this movie? Do you have kind of a different standpoint now?
Well, yeah. I have a general distrust of doctors now. That maybe, you know, I think I always had a general distrust of doctors, but now
Paul
I have
Feig
a
really
reason.
sealed the deal. No going back after that.
No.
Sorry to cut you off, but
No. Now that suspicion has more, reason. I think, and it's always been an interest of mine, with like people in authority, and experts who are just direct, thinking about their own lives, and no one's doing. People are doing a great job all the time, and that's true for everyone in authority and in power and in positions of expertise, and I like the idea of exploring, humanizing those roles.
So as someone with authority and creative position, how do you use your power for good or responsibly?
Well, I don't know. I try to make honest work and be funny and try to entertain.
I think you pulled that off.
Thanks.
A last thing, is there any advice that you would have for emerging or aspiring artists or comedians like yourself?
In terms of making movies?
Just a piece of advice that maybe you wish you'd heard earlier in your career.
Yeah, I think it's work hard to find your own voice before you start writing for anybody else or doing any kind of commercial work. And it's going to take a while, but it might take 10 scripts, but once you have your voice, then you'll know. You can keep it and it'll guide you. Okay, I don't know.
Yeah, no, that works. That was one of the nice things about the movie. I feel like the comedic beats weren't necessarily the expected ones. It felt very specific to, whatever voice you were going for.